The A321neo has been in service since late 2015. Compared to the A321ceo, it has some extra capabilities, and I thought it would be interesting to have a look at how airlines are using the A321neo and what the differences are with the ceo. The A321neo has taken 46% of the total orders for the neo family, and in fact, the current backlog for the A321neo is greater than that of the A320neo. There has clearly been a shift to the larger variant of the family, and the A321neo gives Airbus a competitive advantage. There are currently around 290 aircraft in service with 47 operators. There's a few in short-term storage as a result of the capacity reductions in Asia because of the coronavirus outbreak. We are expecting some 340 deliveries this year, taking the total number in service to 630 by the end of 2020. The current backlog is just over 3,000 aircraft. Of the in-service aircraft, around half are in Asia and about a quarter in Europe. The A321neo route map shows the extent of the global distribution of the aircraft. This is based on Cerium tracked utilization data. We track virtually all scheduled flights globally, and this route map is based on the actual flights that all the A320neos flew in the first week of 2020. It is of course centered around the hubs of the current operators, with big clusters in North America, Europe and Asia, and a smattering of operators in other regions and countries, such as New Zealand, India, Sri Lanka, or indeed Central Asia. What is also interesting to see from the route map is the number of transatlantic services and other long-distance services. Just to dive into that a little bit deeper, and comparing with the A321ceo, we can see that the neo flies longer sectors than the ceo. Around 12% of the neo flights are longer than 2,000 nautical miles, whereas only 4% of the ceo flights were. And the longest flight that week was 2,770 nautical miles, a Sun Class Airlines flight, Sun Class being the former Thomas Cook Scandinavia, between Tromsø and Gran Canaria. However, that flight seems to challenge the capabilities of the ceo and was diverted several times in January. The neo flew no less than 140 flights longer than that in that week, and the longest one was a Reykjavik to Vegas sector, although admittedly on a low-density, business-class only aircraft from the French operator La Compagnie. SATA Air Azores flew a neo from Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic straight to Lisbon, a distance of almost 3,300 nautical miles. This seems to be at the edge of the A321neo capability though, because the return flight had to stop in the Azores. Prevalent winds favor the eastbound sector. The average stage length for the routes flown that week was 955 nautical miles for the neo versus 845 nautical miles for the ceo, so the neo average stage length is around 13% higher. And while most of the routes that the neo flew that week were also operated by other narrow bodies previously, based on the schedules for 2019, there are some of routes where the A321neo is replacing wide-body aircraft. Examples of this are Honolulu to Los Angeles and Seattle, Seoul and Kansai to Ho Chi Minh, Manila to Tokyo, Narita and Haneda, and the transatlantic routes of Dublin to Philadelphia, Newark and Washington to Lisbon. The A321neo is also replacing 757 routes, especially in Phoenix from the Hawaiian Islands, as well as US transcontinental and transatlantic flights. One final observation. The average number of seats on the A321 has increased slightly from 195 to 203. There have been some comments that the number of seats on board the neo might result in turnaround times increasing. However, the evidence from our sample does not bear this out. Looking just at same-day turnarounds, in other words excluding overnights, the turnaround times for the ceo and neo are virtually identical. Note that this is based on the actual gate arrival to actual gate departure and not on scheduled turnaround times. It is clear that the A321neo is increasingly deployed on longer sectors, giving more flexibility to airlines in their route planning and potentially with lower operating costs versus wide-body aircraft.